Get back to the 8 consciousnesses, the consciousness. And usually we talk about consciousness, it's just one consciousness, but actually we have 8 consciousnesses. Last time I did a brief review of this consciousness, and I haven't finished the review because I've been away for quite a long time and I want to slowly get back into it. So it's just like getting back into it, you need a warm up. So I'm doing a brief review of what we've been talking about, and I haven't finished it. So let's carry on the brief review. We always have a question in front of us when we are trying to know something more about Buddhism or about meditation, about the Dharma, about Sangha, about the Buddha's teaching. So what's the purpose of learning and practicing the Buddha's teaching? Or what's the purpose in trying to understand Buddhism and trying to learn about meditation? What's the actual purpose of it? And of course, if we open up a forum of discussions, everybody would raise their hand and show the different perspectives of why they are learning it. But let me just summarize it because I'm doing a review in here. What's the ultimate purpose in learning and practicing the Buddha's teaching? Is it because we want to get blessings from the Buddha? I want to get prosperity. I want to be better in my life. I want to be happier. I want my family to be, everybody would be harmonizing each other. Or some people even say, I want to look for a boyfriend. I want to get a blessings from the Buddha. I can have a good boyfriend, good girlfriend. I have a family reunion. I can be better in my job. I can make more money. I can be more famous. I will have more reputation. Or I will be more healthy. I like to be in good health. And I heard that the Buddha can give you good health. So that's the reason why I'm learning the Buddha's teaching. Is that the ultimate purpose of learning the Buddha's teaching, practicing it? If you have the idea that you want more, I want to acquire more, I want to better myself, that's not exactly the objective of learning Buddhism, because behind you have a motive that you want to get, you want to acquire. You have a desire to get more, to be better in life, to be happier. There's no problem in being happier, healthier, even richer, or more reputable. There's no problem in that. But that's just the side effects of learning the Buddha's teaching, not the ultimate goal of doing it. What's the ultimate goal of doing it? If we can summarize it, it's just in a few words. It's difficult to summarize in a few words, but why don't we put it in 2 perspectives to talk about it? One is what's this world made up of? If we can say, what is this world? This world is, broadly speaking, it's space and time, right? We are in space. All living beings are in the space. You're occupying space. So the whole world, if we can understand it from a very broad perspective, is nothing but time and space. We live in the time. We live in space. We cannot live out of time and out of space, right? So let's talk about trying to learn the Buddha's teaching and trying to practice Buddha's teaching. Let's talk within space and time. What do we have in space? We have living beings in space. Not just have living beings, we have all kinds of things. Buildings, land, landscape, mountains and rivers and houses and whatever you see, whatever you feel, whatever you heard, We're in space. We can't get out of the space, right? We're in the dimensions of the length, the length, the width, and then we also have the volume. Let's see. In space. What do we have in space? What do we have in space? And I summarize it for you a little bit. Let's talk about just space, right? Not time yet. Let's talk about space. What are we in? What position are we in? What space we're occupying? Just briefly. When we talk about space, there's so much to talk about that there's no end in talking about it. But let's just summarize it. In space, we talk about cosmic existence. The cosmos is, the whole universe. Cosmic existence. What is existence? You exist, I exist, everybody exists. A molecule exists, a proton, neutron exists, even though we can't see them. The minute, the most tiniest bacteria exists, but we can't see them. So I could talk about more cosmic existence. Cosmic existence, we say we have the 10 realms occupying space. The 10 realms. There's 4 of them are outside life and death. And the 6 of them are still within life and death. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kinds of existence. Heavenly beings. And sometimes we refer to these beings as beings in heaven. There are heavens. There are 28 heavens. But the Buddha said, in heavens, all these heavenly beings, they enjoy very long happiness. They're not like this world that we're living in, full of suffering. They have happiness. This world is a world that we live in, is full of both happiness and suffering. Sometimes we're happy, and sometimes we suffer, we're unhappy. So we're living in a mixture. But in heavenly beings, when you read sutras, you know that there's details as to how many levels of heavenly beings. At least 28 heavens. In every heavens, there's different degree of happiness, different degree of longevity. And some of these heavenly beings, they enjoy millions of life of longevity, and some only thousands of life. We, in this level, we enjoy only 100 years of life at the most, generally speaking. Occasionally, you have the odd ones who live 110 years old, 125 years old even, but very, very rare. Let's say we live only up to 100 years, then we die. No exception. There's no exception about death. Anybody who don't have to die, raise your hand. Do you have to die? Say, I don't have to die. Raise your hand. You have to die, right? I don't want to be sick. Raise your hand. You cannot prevent from being sick, right? I don't want to get aged. I don't want aging. I always want to stay young. Can you do that? You cannot. Or I have the option of not being born as the way it is in here. Did you have that option? You have taken the route to be born in your family, in certain location. You are born in that family. You have no option. Before you were born, you can say, I want to choose which family I want to live in. I want to choose a family that my father would treat me, would give me the best treatment. My mom would love me. My dad would love me. My brother and sister would love me. I want to be rich, born in a rich family where there's no trouble. I will always be happy. Do you have that option? Some people are born in a family that's broken. Some people live in a healthier family. You have no choice. Being born in this world, you have no choice. If you have a choice, would you have picked, given that your family, you're not satisfactory, would you have picked your family to live in, to be born? Some people were born in a better family, no question about that. But some, even country, some people were born in Canada, some people were born in Guatemala, Nicaragua, Guatemala, the Central American countries. They are, history told us, or the news told us that they were poor countries in Central America. In those countries where some kids don't even have a house to live in. I've been, 2 years ago, I went to Nicaragua. I visited the dump. Many people went over there to do charity work. I went over there, I went to the dump and see what kind of charity work I could do just 2 years ago. And I visited the dump. A lot of kids were picking out garbage in there. The dump is for garbage, and all these kids, they went to the dump to pick out what they can sell. And the most they can make is $1 per day. The most they can make is a US dollar per day. And many, many years ago, not too many years ago, but about 6 years ago, there was a very famous photographer from England or somewhere, I forgot the country, and he went to visit the dump. A very famous photographer, award-winning photography, And he went to the dump, he visited the other kids, very playful kids, and he took pictures of one of the girl, a 7-year-old girl. He took pictures of that, and I think that picture still was in YouTube, was in either Google or YouTube, I don't know. So he took a picture of that girl, and underneath it, and later he publicized that picture and let everybody see it because he's a very famous photographer. And underneath it said, "The sweetest smile I've ever seen, the most beautiful smile," because that kid, like a dumb kid picking up garbage, very dirty hair, dirty clothes, but the most beautiful smile. And he got an award for that picture. And then 1 year later, he went back to the dump to visit the same girl of whom he took pictures and got an award for that picture. And he always remembered that beautiful smile from the girl. And he went back to the dump, and they found that the girl was dead. HIV. And he was extremely sad, There were a lot of kids, around the dump picking up garbage every day. They lived on garbage. And so we are in a different existence. I said, you have no choice of where you will be born. You have no choice. Why didn't you have a choice? Did you actually have a choice? Actually, you did have a choice, but you have chosen to be there. You yourself have chosen to be born in that family. Do you realize that you have chosen to be born in that family? Because you have germinated the causes for being there. Your karma brought you there. Not God, not Buddha, not Creator. No such thing. You created your own karma to be born in that family. Whether a rich family, a poor family, an educated family, uneducated family, you build up your root to go over there. Your karmic energy pull you over there. And talking about karmic energy, who created your own karmic energy? You. You've been creating that every second, Right now you're creating that karmic energy. Every second, or your thought, every second, every thought you're creating energy. Every action, every speech, you are creating karma. Wholesome karma, unwholesome karma, the karma that brought you to your next life. You may not realize it. You are the creator of your own life. You may not realize it. You just live the way you are. You habituate your thinking. We all have been governed by our habitual thinking and actions, which brought us the karma. You have been habitually hardworking. You have been habitually lazy. You have been habitually depressive. You have been habitually jealous. Because you brought your own life up. Of course, under certain influences, that's karma. If we want to explore the philosophy of karma as laid in Buddha's teaching, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to understand. I'm just giving you a brief introduction. We are creating karma every second in our thought, and we habitually bring our thought into action later. Just for the sake of interest, as an example, what kind of karma you're creating right now? What kind of karma you're creating right now? Of course, we can open this for discussion. You are listening to a monk talking about doing wholesome thing and avoiding unwholesome thing. You're talking about the teaching of a saint. We're talking about life. We're talking about this spiritual exploration of humans. We're talking about intelligence. We're talking about striving towards enlightened intelligence. You are creating wholesome karma right now. On the other hand, if you hadn't come today, what do? You slept in for another 2 hours. You maybe you haven't woke up yet because you're still sleeping, because you play your iPad last night until 3 o'clock, because you don't have to go for meditation in the morning, so you just stay until 2, 3 o'clock and getting on your YouTube or your email or your WeChat or whatever you have, and spend all this time. What do? Chit-chatting on something that is not extremely important. Or you were talking to your girlfriend over the phone until 2 o'clock, and you still carry on because you don't have to come to anything the next morning. But you have chosen to come to learn something more about life, about enlightened intelligence, about not to creating any unwholesome karma. So you're creating good karma. Every thought, every action, every speech is conducive to the kind of karma that you're creating. So we're talking about underneath this line, which are unenlightened beings. Above this line are enlightened beings in a cosmic existence. Having talked about heavenly beings, the next one, let's skip asuras, human beings. We'll get back to asuras later. So there are people who are heavenly beings. Why did they go to heaven and we didn't go? We are in here. Why did they go to heaven? Because they created the kind of karmic energy that brought them to heaven, that they reincarnate in heaven, that they were born in heaven. What kind of energy they have created to be born in heaven? What kind of karmic energy they created to be born in heaven? According to some sutras in the Buddhist teaching, all those people, all those existences who have done, always in the process of doing, the 10 good deeds, when they die, they go to heaven. But heaven should not be the ultimate way to go. Because heaven, once your longevity is up, you still have to die. Then you may roll down to other paths of reincarnation. The 10 conducts that would qualify you to be going to heaven. You abstain from all killing. Abstain from killing. Abstain from stealing. Abstain from sexual misconduct. abstain from intoxication, abstain from lying, etc., etc. In other words, in your conduct, you are really refining and reforming your conduct. So your conduct, yourself, your behavior, your speech, your thinking leads you to where you are. So you have to be, all of us must be very careful with our speech, with our conduct, and with our thinking. Some people have done so many merits that when they die, they go to heaven. But according to the Buddha, most living beings, if they are in the human being's realm, when they die, most of them go a lower level than human beings. They can't get back to the human being's path because they have committed a lot of unwholesome karma. It's not a punishment. When you want to get an A in your exam, you got to work at it. If you're not working at going to heaven, then you can't. If you're not working towards your A, you can never get an A because you have been lazy, you haven't attended all the lectures, you haven't listened to the professors well, you haven't even registered. So don't blame anybody, just blame yourself. You are responsible for your actions. Easy to talk about it. People say, yeah, if that's the case, I should really work hard. I should really improve my conduct. I should really improve my thinking. Listening is one thing. Doing it is completely a different thing. I have seen a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I like the Buddha's teaching. And that's really true. But they keep on lying, keep on stealing, keep on, I don't know, they still keep on doing what they're doing. Talking about it, thinking about it is one thing. Doing it is absolutely another thing. You really have to have the determination. I have seen people, I have talked to people, different people talk to me, and I want to become a monk. I really like the Buddha's teaching. And he's been talking about it for 20 years, and now he's 70 years old. He talked to me when he was 50. But he keep on just talking about it and never attempted to do anything. And when he gets 70, I said, maybe next year I will. And then I point blank and say, no, I can't accept you anymore. You are 70. And why not just be a good man? Don't think about being a monk, You've been talking about it for 20 years. You never practiced it. You just talk about it. And I have seen youngsters, when they were 18, they were talking about, I like the Buddha's teaching. And I like to practice it. And then when he was 19, he got a girlfriend and he got married. No more practice anymore. So, let's get to human beings now. So there's human beings who are in reincarnations. Talking about human beings, there are rich human beings, poor human beings, healthy human beings, unhealthy human beings. There are human beings with broken homes. There are human beings with happy families. And why are these differences? Why? And some people say, it's God who created all these. Some people say, it's my parents. I hated my parents because my parents got me all into all these. And they say, I particularly hated my brother. I mean, they blame everybody for what he's suffering, what he's got today. He should have an inner contemplation of why, not just blaming. Now, what I'm talking about seems to be so simple. All these cosmic existence so simple, but there's a poem in Chinese, and the poem said, 3岁小孩也懂得80老翁都不懂. Do you understand? It says, a 3-year-old understands this. But a guy up to 80 years old, he's still ignorant. He's been learning from 3-year-old to 80-year-old, but he's still just talking about it. He's still ignorant because he never practiced it. He knows. You don't have to talk to me like that. I know all these things since I was 3 years old, but up to 80 years old, I'm still going through in reincarnation. I'm still being egoistic. I'm still angry at things. I still have greediness. I still have sexual misconduct. You know, many of these things happen. Departed spirits, I mean those who passed away, we call the ghost realm. There's a path of reincarnation, a realm which after a person dies, he can't even be a human being anymore because of what he had done before. He became a ghost, a spirit. Of course, he can't go up to heaven. Heaven is the highest in this realm. And then human beings, a lower level. And then spirits is under the lower level, the ghosts realm. You believe in ghosts? Anybody here who've seen a ghost? Nobody saw any ghosts before? You did? Surprising. Yeah. I did too. I did. You want me to tell you a story about my personal experience? Or should I go on something else? Go on something else? Huh? Tell you about how I see a ghost? Anybody who wanted to hear my story about me seeing a ghost, raise your hands. Anybody who gets scared and they don't want to listen to it, raise your hand. There's none, so I should keep on talking about this ghost that I saw. I hope she's not around, otherwise I'm in trouble. I don't know, 10 years ago, actually I saw not only on one occasion, but the one last was about 10 years ago. I went to Hong Kong to give a lecture, and as a habit, I like to visit bookstores. I like to go to bookstores and spend about 1 or 2 hours flipping the books and see what kind of books I like. Philosophy or even literature, you know. Hong Kong has a lot of bookstores. And so I was walking in Kowloon. You know Kowloon? There's a Hong Kong side and a Kowloon side. And the Kowloon side, I was walking along a very busy street. The name of that street is Reclamation Street. If you live in Hong Kong, you know San Tin Dei Gai. If you've been in Hong Kong, you know what I'm talking about. So I was walking along the street, very busy street, and I look up. I was looking up on the 6th or the 7th floor. I saw a sign. It says, Buddhist books. Then, usually a bookstore would contain all kinds of books, not just Buddhist books. So I saw a sign that Buddhist books, so maybe I should walk up there. A bookstore not on the ground floor, a bookstore on the 6th floor. So I entered the building, and when I was entering the building, I saw the security guard. He was waiting in there, and then he looked at me and I looked at him, and he knew that I'm a monk. I don't meant to be a robber or a thief, and he knew that I look like more or less not a bad guy, you know. So he'd say, okay, go in there. So he didn't I just went in, and I went to ask, I pushed the button, 6th floor, and then the elevator went up to the 6th floor. So I walk out from the elevator, and I turn, this is a 2B, but that is the 2E. So I went to a 2E unit. Oh yeah, there's a 2E unit. It says bookstore, 2E, right? From the street, it says 2E bookstore. So I went up to a 2E bookstore, and I didn't see any sign in there. So I pressed the doorbell. Ding, the doorbell, I pressed the doorbell. No answer. So I pressed it again, second time. No answer. So I pressed the third time. Something happened when I pressed the third time. I was waiting, and then the door slowly opened. The door slowly opened, and it was pitch dark inside. How come a bookstore was so pitch dark inside? And then I was trying to look through, and suddenly a lady's face appeared in front of me. Who are you looking for? Who am I looking for? I said, is this a Buddhist bookstore? I saw her face, and then I asked a question. She said, who are you looking for? I said, is this a Buddhist bookstore? And then suddenly, I didn't see her face anymore. She was more or less shocked a little bit because maybe I appeared as a monk. They said that a monk has some protection or some light, some aura. I don't know if I have any of those. But the lady looked at me and gone. The door was still half open. I didn't see the lady anymore. It was pitch dark inside. Then I know what happened. I back off, and immediately get out from there. I know what happened. How come suddenly I didn't see her face? I still remember the face was like, there's no feeling on the face. It's like a yellowish, not dark, gloomy face, but a yellowish face. The sound was very slow, like, who are you looking for? Oh, terrible. So I backed out and went back to the elevator. I went down, and then I went up to the security guard. I said, on the 6th floor, was there a Buddhist bookstore on the 6th floor? He looked at me and said, it's not working anymore. It's not there anymore. He didn't want to say any. I asked, I wanted to buy some Buddhist books. He didn't talk to me. There must be something in there that he didn't want to tell me. So I saw a lady, and the lady suddenly disappeared. And I don't know what's the definition of a ghost. If I saw something and then it disappeared immediately, and he even talked to me, is that a definition of a ghost? You tell me. I don't know. And I had a radio program in Vancouver, a Chinese program, on which I have been in that program. I was a host to that program, talking for 5 minutes of the Buddhist teaching and the Buddhist saying, and I have been doing that for many years, 25 years already. And about 15 years ago, I had a call from someone. He called me. He said, "Oh, Reverend, I wanted to talk to you." I said, "Who is this that I'm talking to?" "I'm Dr. Cheng. I'm from China. I had a lot of personal experiences that I've been listening to your radio program about the Buddhist teaching, about Buddhist saying. I have a lot of, and you also talk about stories, about the Buddhist stories, about your personal experiences. I have a lot of personal experiences that I would like to tell you so that you can use those examples in your broadcasting, in your talk. All these stories happened to me. I personally experienced them. So can I arrange a time with you that I can talk to you?" So I said, "Oh, okay, Dr. Cheng." So okay, so we arranged time to see each other. So he came on an appointment. So I was in the library and we were talking. And to make it brief, Dr. Cheng was a Chinese doctor coming from China. And he was educated Western medicine. He was a brain surgeon. So in other words, not a Chinese. He's a Chinese, but he was educated as a Western doctor, and he's specializing in brain surgery. So he operated on a lot of people in the brain. So it's a very famous brain surgeon. And then he immigrated from China. He went to Hong Kong first, and then he immigrated into Canada. And then he was a very educated and studious person. He got his license in Chinese acupuncture in here. So he's also a Western doctor and a Chinese acupuncturist. But he practiced as a Chinese acupuncturist and not on Western medicine because he couldn't get his license. You have to pass certain exams if you want to be a brain surgeon in here. And he didn't write any of those exams. He just became an acupuncturist, a herbal Chinese doctor, but he had the education of Western medicine. So he sat with me and he told me a lot of his personal experiences as a doctor. And I like to tell you one of his personal experiences, which I talk about on the radio program. He was a brain surgeon, and one day they brought in a patient from an emergency. And the emergency was like this. In those days, it was still under the rule of very strict communist regime. And they were in the outskirts doing some farming. 3 very educated people doing a farmer's work. So, and they wanted to build a house, a squatter house, and a simple farmhouse. And one was holding a pile to make sure that they piled it onto the foundation to make the foundation tough, hard. So he was holding that stockpiling. There's a certain thing that they want to, you continue to. I forgot what you call that. They pound in to make sure that the foundation was hard. So a pile driver. Yeah, he was holding that, and these other 2 guys were using a huge, big hammer, hitting that one. So 2 guys were hitting it, and 1 guy was holding it. And then somehow, because 1 guy was careless and hit his head, so he fainted. His head was broken. And this guy with a broken head was rushed to the hospital. And on that day, Dr. Zhang was the brain surgeon. So an operation, emergency operation must be done. Otherwise, that guy will be dead. It's something that has to be done immediately. So he operated on the broken skull, and it was a mess. He said it was a mess, and I spent about 5 hours, and I haven't really finished it because being a surgeon, when your operation hasn't been done, a surgeon, you have to stand up for 5 hours. And when you're working on the brain, it means every nerve counts. You must be extremely careful. It's very demanding. A brain surgeon's work is very demanding. If you work for 5 or 6 hours, you can't even go to the washroom. You think you can stop for a little while? I wanted to go to the washroom. You can't go to the washroom, and when you are operating on a nerve, you can't even breathe. Any doctor in here, they can verify that. I was told that way. When you're right, is that right? When you're operating on the brain, you have to hold your breath in case you breathe too much. Then you cut on the other line. Then that will be wrong. You can't even go to the washroom. That's the reason why they charge you high. That's the reason why when you do an operation, they charge you a lot of money because that guy really was tough work. So after operating for 5 hours, he came to a point that he could stop for a little while. So he wanted to stop and go to first of all the bathroom, and then he went back to his room to sip some tea. So he was prepared. He went to the washroom and immediately come back. He only had about 10 minutes, so he immediately come back and poured his tea out and sit down and want to zip on his tea. And then when he was drinking, they heard the door creaking, door creaking. And then I look at the door. The door was slowly open for about 4 or 5 inches. And then something slipped in, like some energy, or you would like smoke or cloud or whatever. Then, boom, a person appeared in front of him, sticking through the door, like an energy, And then a man appeared. It was the man that he was saving. And the man said, Dr. Cheng, thank you very much for saving me. My time has come. And I just want to say thank you. I'm destined to be like that. I'm going now. There were 2 persons waiting for me outside. I got to go. Thank you very much. Boom, it's gone. And then, just the next minute, somebody tapped at the door. The nurse came in. Dr. Cheng, the man is dead. Let's go back. The man is dead. So they go back, and the guy dead already. So I haven't heard of a personal experiences of seeing ghosts where the ghost actually talked to him, actually communicated with him. Usually people see a ghost, they say, okay, see it from a distance, but that ghost actually communicated with this Dr. Cheng. Is that scary? Do you believe in a ghost? The time is up for lunch now. I haven't even started. You say, how can I do any review? I can't do any review. I keep on talking about personal experiences like that. So that's departed spirits. And that man said, thank you very much. I'm destined to leave. Dr. Cheng said, I still don't understand why there are 2 persons waiting for him. So that means there's always a Mr. Chip waiting for you when you're about to leave. Have you heard about Mr. Chip? Mr. Chip or Mr. If you see that movie, Heaven Can Wait, there's always, that Mr. Chip is always standing by and ready to take you to wherever you have to go. So that's departed spirits. There's 2 kinds of spirits, one friendly ones and unfriendly ones. There are spirits who are furious, who want to hurt, who want to damage others. And there are spirits who are just indifferent. They don't manage to harm you. They're not harming you unless you really owe him or her something when he or she was living. You owe her your life, you owe her your money, then he'll be looking back at you and get you. Otherwise, they won't. Otherwise, they're just like human beings. And they were under control of their gods. And some of them are so furious that they will hurt you. Depends on who you will meet. I hope you're not going to meet them. I hope you're not going to encounter them. But there are good. It's just like humans. Some humans are kind. Some humans are unkind. Even in ghosts, in the departed spirits, some of them are kind and some of them are unkind. And some of them, if you're careful, if you don't bring any harm to them, they won't harm you. But if you are careless, sometimes they may get to you. When I was a kid, I was more or less in the 60s. We were street kids in Hong Kong. Say street kids, we like to play around in streets, and we are very smart in street sense, because sometimes we're in the black alley, and some kids like to smoke. When they were 12-year-old, they like to smoke. And some kids, when they smoke, when they finish up to the end of it, at the butts, they like to pinch it against the wall, to extinguish the smoke. And we have been taught, the street sense, don't do that at night. You could have burned the guy who was standing inside the wall, and they got into trouble. You know what I mean? Your cigarette butts still burning. And these spirits could be standing anywhere. And if you put that cigarette butts into his face, on his body, he's going to get you. So we had a lot of those street sense, because in those days in Hong Kong, when we're in the streets, in black alleys, in dark side of the streets, many things happen, and you have to have street sense. You have to be street smart. So that's what we've been educated when we were a kid. All right, those departed spirits. Animals. There's also a reincarnation ram. Animals. Why did it go to the animal rams? Because they created the karma to be in the animal ram. They are in the hogs, the pig rams. They are ready to be killed by humans, slaughtered for food. Chickens, ducks, cows. They were humans before. It's just they lost all of their memory. You kill them for food. You've been eating meat. You kill them for food. You think that they say, okay, you can kill me. I'm meant to be your food. They don't like it. They hated you. They built a lot of bad karma against you. They would get you. They would ask for repayment in flesh and blood, in money, in anything. They wanted to get even. You can't get away with killing. So many examples of those who were involved in killing animals and get their retribution right in this life. I've heard so many of those examples. Actually, real examples. I can give you hundreds of those cases, but one case very simple one, there's a couple who was involved in barbecue ducks in Hong Kong. Very famous, the Cheng family, very famous for barbecue ducks. Then they make a lot of money from barbecue ducks. And many people like their barbecue ducks than other shops. How they do it, they kill the ducks overnight, rip off all the hairs and everything, make it clean, and they barbecue it in what do you call that? In a kiln. I don't know. It's the ovens in a stove, earthen stove, and then they put it in the stove where they have all this charcoal burning on the outside to smoke to burn. They barbecue the ducks, and they make extremely delicious, juicy barbecue ducks. And they make a lot of money, become very rich. A lot of shops open. And the couple even have their children doing the same kind of work. Approximately when they were 60 years old, they live in a luxury apartment. And then one day, the apartment was on fire. The next door was on fire. And the couple who were in, the pioneers of the barbecue duck family business, in the morning they were having their breakfast and it was on fire. So they wanted to get out from the apartment. They were searching for the keys and all that. Smoke was coming in and it was, in the fire. They couldn't get the key and they couldn't get out. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't. They want to destroy in Hong Kong, they have the wooden door outside, and the second level is like a metal door. In Hong Kong, they like to have two doors. The first door is a wooden door, with nice looking wooden door. The second level it's like a metal door, so you need two levels. So they have to open up the metal door and then get out, open up the other door. They couldn't open the inside door, and they were burned to death like a duck. The whole body was burned like a duck. And most people say that is a present life retribution effect of killing barbecue ducks. I didn't mention any names, so don't involve in any bad karma it'll get back to you. Create only good karma. Watch your behavior, watch your speech, watch your thought. You have to purify your karma. The wholesome karma, unwholesome karma, and neutral karma. Unwholesome karma will get you unwholesome effect, cause and effect, unwholesome retribution. Good karma, wholesome karma, virtuous karma will get you to good effects. So you are the creator of your own life. How about neutral karma? Neutral karma, say I'm sitting at home, I'm not doing anything, I'm not doing bad action, nothing bad, I'm just watching television, I'm not hurting anybody. Well, can you consider my karma as neutral karma? Yes and no. You're not doing any bad karma, no unwholesome or wholesome karma. You're watching a TV show in which that TV show is talking nothing about violence and sex, and it gets into your mind. You are creating ignorant karma, neutrally ignorant karma in you. But every thought counts. If it's not wholesome, it's unwholesome. If not unwholesome, it's neutral. In the neutral karma, you could be, I'm sitting right in the woods, I'm just sitting in there browsing, I'm not hurting anybody. You're not creating wisdom. If you are in the woods, I'm meditating and I'm learning how to become the Buddha. I'm learning how to better my behavior. I'm learning how to promote the Buddha's teaching so that people can be benefited by it and become virtuous people. Then you're creating good karma.